You know, most songs are born in a nice, quiet studio. Not this one. This song was practically forged in the fire of a street-level conflict, right in 1970s Berlin. It's so much more than music. It's a living historical document, and we're about to take it apart piece by piece.
Just listen to that. You won't get us out of here. This is our house. Before we get into any of the history, I just want you to feel the raw power in that line. It's not just a lyric, it's a shout. It's a line drawn in the sand. And it's the absolute heart of the Rauch-Haus-Song.
So it makes you wonder, right? What could possibly provoke a cry like that? What kind of pressure builds up until it explodes into a chant that echoes for decades? That line is the key. And to really understand it, we have to go back to the beginning, back to the fight where it all started.
And to do that, we have to go to a very specific time and a very specific place. West Berlin, 1971. You have to understand, this wasn't just any city. It was an island, a political pressure cooker. To really get the song, you first have to get the city.
Yeah, this was not a peaceful place. It was an island city just simmering with tension. There weren't enough places for people to live, real estate speculators were running wild, and a powerful counterculture was pushing back hard against the establishment. It was basically a powder keg, just waiting for a spark.
And then, boom, the spark hits. On December 4th, an activist named Georg von Rausch was killed by police. The reaction was immediate. Just 4 days later, protesters seized a vacant building, the old nurses' home of the Bethanian Hospital, and in an act of pure defiance, they renamed it in his honor, the Georg von Rausch House.
Now, an event this huge needs a voice, a soundtrack, and the voice of this movement was a band called Ton Steine Scherben. But here's the kicker. They weren't just writing songs about it from a safe distance. No. They were in the building.
And that's what made them so different. They were activists who played music, not the other way around. I mean, look at this. They were directly involved, and their singer, Rio Reiser, literally wrote this song while he was inside the occupied building. They called their style agit rock, a mashup of political agitation, or agitprop, and acid rock. This wasn't entertainment. This was a weapon.
And you can totally hear that on-the-scene immediacy in the lyrics. This line reads like a dispatch from a war reporter. Mariannenplatz was blue. That's not some artsy metaphor. It literally means the square was filled with blue police uniforms. And Mensch Meyer, who's kind of like the German John Doe, is crying not because he's sad but because of the tear gas. It's just so raw.
So just think about what this means. The song isn't telling a story after the fact. It's live journalism set to a rock and roll beat. It's a direct report from the ground, capturing the chaos as it was all unfolding. All right, so we've got the backstory, we know where the song came from. Now let's really dive in and decode the lyrics themselves. Because this song wasn't just written to be catchy. It was engineered to be a tool for the movement. And when you really break it down, you realize it's actually doing three things all at once. It's a report documenting the events. It's an indictment, pointing the finger directly at the authorities. And it's a tool for mobilization, a call to arms for supporters. It's an incredibly smart and strategic piece of work. And man, does that indictment get specific. The chorus doesn't just say, throw the bad guys out. It names names. Schmidt, Press, and Mosch. So, the big question is, who on earth were these people? And this is how they made the fight so crystal clear. The song draws this sharp line between us and them. On one side, you have the people, Mensch Meyer, the folks in the house. On the other, the system, the cops, the politicians, and the developers. It's a classic protest strategy, right? Make the conflict simple, urgent, and personal. And those names were not random. Schmidt and Press was a real estate firm, and Heinz Mosch was a massive building contractor. For the protesters, these weren't just businessmen. They were the faces of the real estate speculation that was making housing unaffordable and literally pushing people out of their own communities. The song puts them on blast directly.
The song also takes aim at the media's role in the whole conflict. This line is about a real news story that tried to criminalize the squatters, claiming they had a bomb workshop. And the so-called evidence? 10 empty wine bottles, which the song sarcastically points out can quickly be 10 mollies. It's a direct jab at how their protest was being spun. But here's where the story gets really incredible. It doesn't just end in 1972. The amazing thing about the Rauch-Haus-Song is its echo, how that one defiant shout has just reverberated through the decades.
This song became an absolute anthem for protest movements. Its simple, powerful chorus was just perfect for chanting. It's been adopted by squatter movements all over and covered by countless punk bands for years. It basically became the go-to soundtrack for anyone fighting for housing rights.
And this right here is where you see its true genius. Check out this comparison. The 1972 original named specific developers, but fast forward to 2016, the band KF Vika covers the song, but they change one key part. Now it's finally throw everyone without cash out of Kreuzberg. And just like that, the song is no longer about 1970 speculators, it's about 21st century gentrification.
That one simple lyrical change shows just how timeless the song's structure is. The enemy might change from a specific developer to a broader economic force, but the core struggle, the right to the city, the fight against displacement, well, that remains exactly the same.
For over 50 years, this raw shout from a newly occupied building in Berlin has given a voice to people fighting for a place to call home. It's a living, breathing piece of history.
Which leaves us with a final question. The song was a response to specific events back in 1971, but its central conflict feels more relevant now than ever. In a world where housing is so often treated more like an investment than a right, what does it truly mean for you, for your community, to stand your ground and declare, "This is our house"?